Okay, hi, it's level 8. We're dealing with the progressions of Mars. And okay. Everything in astrology takes a little bit of calculation while computers are doing some of it, and then you have to break it down simpler, and try and watch the little things go on. Whenever you notice some phenomena happening, some phenomena is paralleling in your life. We may not be able to measure it all because we're busy living and we're not always reflecting or observing ourselves as much as we could. But the progressions stand as this, let's say, a mystical storyline, or just a timeline parallel to a standard to check out where you are about. But as we get to the outer planets, a lot of people only do the progressions up to Mars. They don't do them to the outer planets, and we'll be doing them to each of the outer planets. Going out, there's still sensitivities. Like, remember meeting Dr. Theodore Landscheid. He was for 30 years as a Supreme Court judge in Germany. Then he was a chemist for another 30 years, a physicist, chemist for another 30 years, and he ended up predicting sunspots. And when everybody was thinking there was going to be a sunspot year, he told NASA there wasn't going to be any sunspots that year, and he was the only one that was right, and he became really well known in scientific circles from this. But he was an astrologer. He was, and he put the he related the zodiac. We have related the zodiac to the pentans. We have the related to the I Ching. He did the relationship to the chemical table, and put the planets and the different elements of the chemical table in the signs of the zodiac, which was very interesting. But he had an interesting saying. Einstein's theory was E equals mc squared, and he added another component that E equals mc squared means everything's related to everything. Something happens 1,000 miles away, it still has an effect on something that's happening here. Every vibration is interpenetrating. But he added, for information's sake. So everything exists to gain information, to get more impression, to absorb information. So these informations are stored and collected. And I thought it was a very brilliant insight. Well, anyways, I just glad because progressions sit like this for information's sake. They're there. If you have the ears to hear, if you listen and can observe, these things can be seen. So today we're dealing with Mars, and so Mars, it's first planet outside the orbit of Earth, and it has sometimes it's all, sometimes you can see the polar cap, or you can see it here. Sometimes it's all just in a sandstorm and it covers the whole planet, so you can't see anything. And that's a very unique nature. But for us, it's a little less than a 2-year cycle. And we watched it in transits, we've watched it going around, but like with the Earth, when we're on the Earth, we're watching the sun, or the Earth going around, it's only moving 90 degrees in a year. So for Mars, we're dealing with less than that. So these are smaller cycles. So here's Mars according to the size of Earth. There's Mars outside. It has the 2 moons with it, Phobos and Deimos. And Mars, when you think of it, astrology is a god of power and war and fighting and aggression. Okay, it is that, but it really is the desire for experience. It's not desire like I want to get Venus. I want to have, gimme. Mars is I have to do. It's what you need to do. It's what you want to do. Let me try it. Don't show me how to drive. Let me drive. Don't show me how to do it. Let me do it. It's the element in of us that needs to do things, need to prove things. So on one level, we need to be physically in shape, and our muscle tone. A good muscle tone moves the body, moves the bones properly. And all life is a fight between muscles and bones. And with Jupiter, the understanding of how to make use of it. But too much muscle and it breaks the bones, too much bones and it bores and restricts and inhibits the Mars, the action. But Mars being the planet of action, the planet of how we use energy, what we're desiring to do, as it goes through the zodiac, goes through the signs in our progressions, it measures kind of the attitude we have to experience. And there's all kinds of experience we still can get at any time, in any day, in any year, in any phase of our life. But for periods, there's attitudes we have to these experiences. So we have our basic attitude, our basic way of using energy is in our natal chart. So you see the basic manner it goes. Then you start seeing the shifting attitudes of what changes it. And Mars may only shift one sign. Mars may stay in the same sign the whole lifetime. You know, it's usually 1 to 2 signs. Sometimes it can be going straight forward and it can be a little bit further than that. But you get caught in progressions. You're watching these attitudes, and it's slower than the sun. So it's like an aspect or a critical time lasts longer than 2 years. Even a specific thing is going to have a 3 or 4 year, sometimes 10 or 20 year phase around it, or critical time around it. These represent large periods of our life where we fall into certain habits, certain roles of doing things, certain means of doing things. And again, it's not so much our strength or our power, it's how we use it. It's not wrong to be strong, but if you use the strength to hurt people, that has its own outer karma. But at the same time, your will to do things or to not do things, your ability to dare, to challenge, to gain experience, to go, or to run from them, and the attitudes behind that, that's how far you go, how much you push, how much you do. That's it's in your natal Mars, but it's evolving through your progress more. So if you have a kid that's disassociating, why bother, and their Mars is really inert, not really working really well, maybe it's for social reasons, being picked on or bullied or whatever, it introverts in the Mars. The outer experience gets pushed inward. And who's to say which is right or wrong? With the inner, it still has a power, but it's going to be more disassociative than associative. So some people push the energy out, some people it gets pushed in. And then what do you do with it? You know, like, yeah, so it's this drive to do, drive to accomplish, drive to be, drive to gain experience. And here's a more recent picture, or so much more detail with the new telescopes and the close the space shots from planets going by. This is a great shot. It's really clear, no sandstorms, and just really see the detail in the canals and the things on Mars. But anyways, it's one thing seeing the outer phenomena, the outer thing going. The whole part of astrology is what's outside is connected to what's inside. It's not our spirit, but it's our inner attitude. We act and we use this energy, and we're doing it as part of nature. If we go with nature and we're aligned with nature, it's healthy. If we go against nature, we don't live long. And or it could be that we might seem to live too long, but in any case, what you put out comes back. And so the idea of acting aligned with the gods or aligned with the heavens, or to elevate our nature so our actions can be divinely inspired or heavenly inspired. The planets are like set guidelines for behavior, and they begin to see these behavior and these patterns working out. And in progressions, you see them in, you're getting the inner voice, you're getting an inner thing inside of how these work. You see the outer specifics with Mars. In transits, boom, it's explosive, it's a disruption, it's a fight, it's a burn. But this is, with the progressed Mars, there's more of an inner attitude to it, so that you get caught in this area, this attitude, often for long periods of time before you see shifts. And so you don't really see the attitude as such. It's hard to see that. Sometimes you can, but you get insights about it, but usually you can see when it changes. Oh my goodness, how come I can't do, I'm into that anymore. How come I don't feel like doing that anymore? How come it's changed? Something in me's changed. And so it can be, yeah, so this is the desire for experience, to gain experience, to do the power, the energy to do things, just to get up and walk. For a kid, just to stand up and walk or to run. Wow, how alive. And some things are more fun than others. Some things are more powerful than others. Some people are stronger than others, and we run into this in this power struggle. It's about life is a power struggle. Mars is the muscles. Without muscles, we don't live. So we have to use these things. Okay.